Suns are going to come out with a different type of mindset. I think the fans are going to rally, especially around the role players. They're going to play well. They're going to make shots. And I see this series being over tonight. For us with the Hawks had a chance. They jumped out on the Bucks last night, 22-8. And the Bucks just slowly walked them down and made it a game. And the Bucks shot horrible from the three-point line. And Chris Middleton went nuts in the fourth quarter, which he's capable of doing because he's so damn skilled. Giannis is not selling. He's attacking the paint. And I get it. Trae Young, he rolled his ankle. But in my opinion, I just feel like the Hawks just don't have enough bullets. You know, if Trae Young is not dropping 40-plus, I feel like they can't beat the Bucks. Jrue Holiday had a horrible night on both ends of the floor, and the Bucks still came out with the win. So with that being said, I still have the Bucks winning this series in 6. I don't think the Hawks can come back and pull this off.
Yeah, and I think right now the Hawks are they hit their ceiling, right? They don't have that championship pedigree. They don't have the experience. So they don't have anything that they can recall on and say, hey, man, listen, we can figure this out. These are the adjustments. This is what worked before. But I think they are getting that experience. And I think the fact that Bogdanovich hasn't really showed up for this series, he struggled, has been the problem. They really don't have a legitimate number 2 scorer. And, you know, Chris Middleton going off yesterday was right on time. And sometimes we don't give him enough credit, I believe, because he's a star, kind of, sort of. But for them, he's a superstar. And I think that the Bucks get it done. But to go back to your point over there in Phoenix, do you think that the young team of the Phoenix Suns are going to be able to have that killer instinct, as you know, that the Clippers aren't going to go quietly into the night, that this may be, if they're going to win another game, it's probably going to be this one to have the best chance because their back's against the wall playing against a team that's not desperate?
Well, absolutely, because they are killers. And you got to look at their leadership, though. Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, they have the killer instinct. And we heard what DeAndre Ayton said post-game. What did he say? Best thing happened for me was Chris Paul. We already know that DeAndre Ayton, the skill set was there, the athleticism was there. But Chris Paul installed that killer mentality. We already know what type of mindset Devin Booker has. Do we think Devin Booker is really going to have 3 games in a row? And by the way, again, I'm a repeat that the Suns fan base in that arena is probably the most exciting arena in this year's playoffs, meaning it's loud. These role players feed off of that. So I do see them seizing the moment. Nice head coach that's doing a hell of a job, that holds them accountable, that makes sure they stay of course, that makes sure that they never get too high, never get too low. I see Phoenix closing this out tonight.
Kendrick Perkins, ESPN NBA analyst, joining Chris Carlin, Bart Scott, here on ESPN Radio and ESPN Plus. Kendrick, you this week called Chris Paul the MVP of the league. So let me throw out this idea. Should we change when the voting for these major awards is until after the playoffs, or are the playoffs going to skew that too much? Because maybe more people need to get a better look at the impact like Chris Paul has had.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't say we should change when the voting happens. I should say we should make sure that we keep the goalposts in the middle when the voting does happen, instead of moving it to solidify what MVP means, okay? And it goes to show you, because throughout the history of MVPs, every year is something different.
Yeah.
Whether it's a guy having a high PER, whether it's this guy doing this, the guy having the best record in the NBA. And it just goes back to the point that I'm about to make when Steve Nash won it. The Phoenix Suns were red hot. Kobe Bryant averaged 35 that year. He was clearly the best player. He had the least, his roster wasn't that talented, but yet he still got them to the playoffs. He didn't win the MVP. They gave it to Steve Nash, who was averaging 18 and 11. So when I look at CP3, and I look at with Steve Nash, same organization, same position, same results. So why has it changed? To me, I think we get it confused with most valuable player and most dominant player. They do. It's a difference between the two. Off this team, and what would this team be? This Phoenix Suns team haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. Now they're in the Western Conference Finals and possibly on their way to going headed to the finals, which they hadn't been since 1993. Are you kidding me? This is MVP. This is what an MVP looks like.
Now, another former MVP is on the other side, Kawhi. And the fact that he's up in the booth with the 7-Eleven shirt, it's kind of it's kind of funny, right? Because 7-Eleven is open 365 days a year, all day, 24 hours, and he's off the shelf up in the booth. Because he's up in the booth, does that tell you that maybe that he's done for the playoffs, even if they're able to push it to a Game 6? And if that's being said, what is his legacy with the Clippers, knowing that he can possibly be gone after this season?
I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think something else is really going on that they keeping under the radar. That's why he's in the suite. I think, as far as him like not moving around, getting up and down from off the bench and things to that nature. Well, Kawhi Leonard will be a Clipper next year, okay? And so at the end of the day, he knows he has unfinished business. And Kawhi Leonard, one thing about him that we all should know is that he has pride. And he's going to make sure that he went to the Clippers for a reason. One, yes, he's from L.A. Two, is that, he wants to make sure that he handles his business.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.